Meet the Snake Goddess, a story by Eby's Heart. It was the eve of Dora's traditional marriage to Sam, her boyfriend. She was in high spirit but also in doubt, because her parents were not in support of their union. "Marry Bob, he is from our tribe, and we know his family so well. If anything goes wrong there, we can always find a solution to it," Dora's mother pleaded. "Bob is too poor, Mom, and I don't want to suffer. Sam is rich and from a very rich and famous family. Besides, I love Sam and I am already pregnant for him," Dora replied. 2 days after their marriage, Dora and Sam traveled to his hometown to be presented to Sam's kinsman again as his custom demanded. After the presentation ceremony, a woman approached Dora and whispered in her ear, "I hope you know the meaning of this ceremony." Dora was about to ask her questions when she briskly walked away. She was about to think about the woman's statement when Sam held her hand and pulled her close to himself. His kiss made her forget the statement and she smiled. When it was time to sleep, Sam took Dora to a room that had no windows and said, "This is our special night and we are going to sleep in this special room." Dora didn't think much about how the room was, she simply jumped on the bed. Immediately she climbed the bed, she fell unconscious and slept off. She woke up the next day looking very dirty, like someone who rolled on a muddy ground. But the white bed sheet she was lying on and even the ground that was painted white were all sparkling neat. She panicked and started calling Sam. "Honey, you are awake," Sam came in smiling. "Why am I looking so dirty? And why is there mud on me but not on the bed?" Sam pretended to be shocked. "What happened to you?" He screamed and started checking her out as if he wanted to make sure she didn't injure herself. Dora had to tell him to stop, that she was fine when she saw his genuine worried look and concern. When Dora came out to greet Sam's family, everyone stood up for her, some were even bowing their heads. She felt embarrassed at first, but later she became scared. "Why are they all doing that? They are scaring me," Dora whispered in Sam's ear. Sam simply laughed and said, "It's nothing. They all respect me as an industrious son and the respect they give me is what they just transferred to you." Dora felt like a queen, but that feeling instantly froze and turned to terror when she saw a beautiful woman of same age as herself, who had a face of a woman and a body of a snake. Everyone looked at Dora in silence and Dora watched as the woman's face was soiled with tears and her gaze was steady on her. She got to the door and disappeared. Dora screamed and held Sam so tight, shouting, "What was that?" But Sam started shaking her and shouting her name, "Dora, Dora." When Dora eventually turned to look at him, he said with concern and fear, "What was that? Why are you embarrassing me?" Dora looked around the sitting room and discovered everyone's gaze was on her. She asked in a low tone, "Are you saying you didn't see that?" "See what?" Sam asked. "The snake woman," Dora said, sounding so unsure of her statement. "Honey, there is no one here. I think you need to rest," Sam said, sounding offended. He took Dora to another room and held her tight as a way of comforting her, saying, "This is your home, my people love you, please relax." After a while, Dora slept off. When Sam came out of the room, he quickly walked to his grandparents and said, "I think she has become one with Cuckoo, the great python." "Did you see all the signs?" his grandfather asked, frowning. "Yes, I think she saw Cuckoo walking around the house," Sam said in satisfaction. "Good, you have done well as a great son of this family. We now have to work hard and bring her to stay here permanently," his grandfather said, smiling wickedly. 3 days later, Dora and Sam returned to the city, but as they were leaving, his entire family came to bid her farewell. Dora also noticed that there were about 50 persons or even more in Sam's family compound, and they were all present, waving goodbye to her, smiling. "Your family is so nice and welcoming, but is that how they welcome all their wives?" Dora asked Sam, who was also smiling a fulfilling smile of relief. "Yes, but you are special," Sam said, and smiling again. Dora blushed and felt even happier. Few weeks after their return, Dora lost her pregnancy. But the strange thing was how she lost it. She woke up one morning and her pregnancy was gone. She ran to the hospital and the baby had disappeared from her belly. Dora cried and became really confused. The doctors could not even explain what happened to her. After spending a day at the hospital, Sam took her home. He later called his grandparents on the phone and said, "Everything is ready now, Cuckoo has accepted her offering. Now we wait," Sam's grandfather said and cut the call. Sam showered Dora with so much love and attention to brighten her mood about the loss of their baby. But what Dora didn't know was that her husband's family worships a snake that gave them wealth, long life, and fame. In every generation of their descendants, a son must marry a new wife who will be given to the snake as its mouthpiece and goddess. The new wife must be pregnant before marriage because her baby will be offered to the snake on her wedding night. They have been practicing this for centuries, and their family was well known across their village for their wealth and long life. They live up to 100-and-something years before they die. And when they die, the snake which they built a very big mansion for, eats their corpse. They were never buried on the ground. This time around, it was the turn of Sam, who was the first son of his parents, to marry a new wife for Cuckoo the snake. The woman Dora had seen that night, that had the face of a woman and the body of a snake, was the last wife who was offered to Cuckoo years ago. She was passing and preparing for a handover as her reign was over. She was crying because it was against her wish to serve Cuckoo, as she was deceived into it like Dora, and she will become a snake forever. In Sam's village, no one marries them. That was why they go far to tribes that do not know them to get married. They are regarded as a dangerous family even though they are rich and influential. All their other wives were made to swear not to mention what was going on in their family. They were all told that the day they discuss the secrets in the family with anyone, their first sons will die, so all their wives were in unseen bondage. When Dora came as the new snake goddess, they all pitied her, but could not talk to her about it. One of the wives tried to warn Dora, but wasn't bold enough out of fear. Meanwhile, Dora was just picking up her life and trying to be happy. But one day, she woke up to see herself very muddy again with grass and spikes all over her body. She screamed and Sam rushed in and saw her. But what he did scared Dora the most. He knelt down and bowed before Dora, saying, "Welcome Cuckoo, the great queen of Abobo clan, welcome our snake goddess." That was when Dora knew something was seriously wrong. Dora shouted, "What is going on? Why are you doing this?" Sam looked at her and frowned. "Stop fighting it," he said angrily. "Why are you fighting the chance to serve Cuckoo? She is a great queen and serving her is an honor." Sam continued talking. But he never expected what Dora did next. She stood up and started declaration, casting and binding the devil over her life. Sam screamed, "No, no, do not mention those names here. When we met, I told you I don't believe in God and you said you were an atheist. That was why I married you. So why are you trying to ruin my family with these names you are calling?" Dora started crying and said, "My parents warned me about marrying you, and I refused to listen to them. Yes, I may have lost my way with God, but that doesn't mean I can't call on him." She started crying and parking her things to leave, but was surprised that Sam didn't stop her. As she was leaving, Sam started laughing and said, "You are already ours, so running away can never save you." This statement startled Dora so much and she turned and said, "You may have been hurting people before, but I will win you this time, mark my words." She decided to head home straight to her parents instead of her friend's place that she had wanted to go to earlier. When she got home, her mother, who had been very worried about, hugged her and welcomed her home. Dora told her parents she was having issues with Sam. They were relieved because they never like him. "You can stay here as long as you wish. Thank God you didn't stay long in that family, because after you married him, I went to his village to ask about their family. Could you believe no one was bold enough to say what was going on their family? Everyone I met was too scared to even describe them, let alone tell us exactly what they are. So we are grateful to God that you are back home in one piece," Dora's father said, raising his hands to thank God. 2 days after Dora returned home, she woke up again looking very dirty and muddy as if she ran through a forest. She was so scared but didn't know how to describe what was happening to her parents. Sam told his grandparents what was happening and they were very scared. "Why will you bring someone you didn't study well to become the goddess of our great mother Cuckoo? You don't know the implication of what you are playing with. This could kill all of us." We have to plead with Cuckoo to bring her back. If not, our entire family might not survive it. This is the first time a wife of this family, and the chosen one for that matter, is being so deviant. Go, find her and bring her here now. Sam became very scared. He remembered the story his uncle told him about a wife in their family running away from Cuckoo, and how about 5 persons from their family died because of it, and how that his uncle was given to Cuckoo alive to appease her. Fear griped him. He swore that can never be his fate. For 1 week, Dora's night has been very scary and mysterious. She woke up every morning feeling sore and covered in dirt. What kind of problem is this? She then bought a camera and placed in her room to see what happens to her every night. What she saw left her cold in fear. She saw herself turn into a giant python and crawled out of her room. That was when she knew she was dealing with something way bigger than her. Dora, who doesn't believe in God, went on her knees to call on God for the first time in years. She was still scared of telling her parents and thought she could handle it her own way. Meanwhile, Sam has already paid some persons to kidnap Dora. She must be brought here as fast as possible. Sam's grandfather's words kept echoing in his head. Dora, who never left her parents' house since she returned home, found herself inside a thick forest around 4 a.m. in the one morning. Dressed in her pajamas and looking very dirty and muddy, Dora was so confused and broke down crying. If only I can locate a church around, I will be safe, she told herself. She was about to enter a church she found almost 2 hours later when 2 masked men approached her and tried to grab her. She saw herself on the ground reaching for their legs and bit them. They both fell down there, foaming from their mouth. The screams from people made Dora to run into the nearby bush. Why am I crawling on the ground and why are people screaming at me? She thought and was confused. After crawling and running so fast, even faster than she could control, she stopped at a place trying to catch her breath. I am on the ground again? Dora asked, terrified. She stood up and saw herself dirtier than before. She cleaned her head and wore the back of her pajamas and walked to the church again. A crowd of people had gathered and were looking at the 2 masked men that attacked her. They were lying on the floor dead and was so swollen and big like balloon. To make things even more confusing, people were saying the men were bitten by a big snake and the snake ran into the bush. How can a snake bite make someone to look so swollen? This is not an ordinary snake. Besides, the size of such snake can never be found in this area, a man in the crowd said, sounding horrified. Dora left the crowd because everyone was looking at her dressing. She entered a bike and went home. Does it mean I am the snake? Sam, what have you done to me? She cried. She then decided to swallow her shame and tell her parents all that has been going on with her. The men I sent tracked her down, but she has killed them, Sam told his grandfather. The people around said snake bit them and they both died instantly, Sam said, sounding worried. We have just 3 days to bring her here before things start going wrong in this family, Sam's grandfather said. Sam, out of desperation, planned with some men to go to Dora's house as robbers and bundle her to his village, but failed. If in 3 days, Dora is not here kneeling before Cuckoo, she will turn into a full snake and I don't know how it will affect our family, Sam's grandfather called again to tell him. When Dora told her parents, they could not believe her. They felt she was mentally unwell due to her situation. She tried everything to prove to her parents that she was saying the truth and not sick mentally, but failed. We know there is something wrong with that family, but saying they turn people to snake was absurd, her father said angrily. She would have shown them the recording where she videoed herself sleeping and turning into a snake, but she had deleted them. She was scared of leaving it in her device. She then started putting the camera again to get a video of herself and convince her parents, but nothing happened on the first 2 days. On the 3rd day, Dora turned into a full python and found herself in someone's home, the home of Sam's younger brother. Apparently, Cuckoo has gone on bloodthirsty rampage since the family was unable to secure her sacrifice. Then a call came in. Sam's only brother's children have all been bitten by a snake and they were all dead. Sam could not believe his ears. So I have destroyed my family. Never, I will not allow this Dora to bring shame to my family. He headed straight home so that they can find a solution to killing Dora. When he got home, their village home that was housing almost 50 of their relatives was empty. He panicked and ran to the next building where the altar they built for Cuckoo was. What he saw made his knees weak. He saw about 20 corpses of his relatives, littered all over the place. He managed to enter the building and saw his grandparents and a few others, taking refuge behind the huge statue of Cuckoo. "Sam, you have ruined all of us. Cuckoo is on rampage in anger," his grandfather lamented. But before the end of that day, the entire family died to snake bite, including Sam. When the news of their death spread, their village was buzzing and having a feast over the end of the family that has kept the entire village in fear. It was when they were no more that everyone started hearing about the atrocities they had committed over the years. How they have always abducted a young woman every full moon to sacrifice to Cuckoo, and how they have taken over the leadership of their village and state. Every newspaper in the state carried the news, the death and end of the most notorious family. But the question everyone who knew their history asked was, where is the snake they were worshipping and who killed all of them? No one could answer the questions. Cuckoo, who has taken over Dora completely, changed back into Dora and appeared in her room, weak and almost lifeless. Her mother, who was worried about her leaving the house without her phone, suddenly found her unconscious in her room. Dora was rushed to the hospital, but nothing was seen as the cause of her unconsciousness. Her older brother, who was a pastor disowned her years ago for denouncing God, came to visit her when he heard of her situation. When he saw her, he knelt down and wept bitterly. She is hanging in the balance and fighting to retain her soul. A very powerful spirit is trying to overcome her soul, Dora's brother told his parents. 1 week later, Dora's mother came to the hospital to clean her up. But when she raised her cloth up, she saw her skin glittering like a snake's skin. She screamed and called the doctor. Everyone gathered and were taking pictures of the most mysterious thing they have ever seen. Her family took her straight to their church. They began praying for her. Few days later, the snake scale had covered her completely, but something happened. Dora's mother held her hand and spoke to her soul. "Fight, fight, you are the only one who can save yourself." After speaking those words to her, Dora started vibrating and the scales gradually started falling off. She started flogging herself on the ground like a snake, scattering the entire chairs in the church. Everyone ran outside and was peeping through the church windows. After hours of fighting, they heard a very loud hissing and felt what seemed like movement around the church as if a big snake was running and hissing. Dora got herself, but when her mother ran to hug her, she saw that her eyes were still like that of a snake. Even though her skin had returned to normal, her hands and legs were still covered with scales like a snake's skin. She got her healing and defeated Cuckoo, but not without a souvenir. She served God for the rest of her life. Sometimes when your parents advise you against marrying a particular person, please listen, especially when you are going into it for the wrong reasons.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.